The Prodigal Son, a story of forgiveness and redemption. Welcome, dear friend, to the story of the Prodigal Son, one of the most beautiful tales of grace, forgiveness, and redemption. Today, as you listen, I invite you to reflect on how this story speaks to your own life and how God is always ready to welcome you home, no matter how far you've gone. There was a man who had 2 sons. One day, the younger son came to his father and said, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance now." The son was determined to leave, to seek adventure and live life his own way, far from home. How often do we seek independence from God, choosing our own way instead of trusting His wisdom? The younger son's request is like our own desire to control our lives, but there is always a cost. The young man set off for a distant land, where he wasted his wealth on wild living, lavish feasts, parties, and all the pleasures money could buy. But soon, his riches were gone, and a severe famine hit the land. Sometimes, when we stray from God, we believe we are free, but true freedom comes from following Him. Like the younger son, we can find ourselves empty, despite the temporary pleasures we chase. With no money and nowhere to turn, the young man took a job feeding pigs. As he looked at the slop, he realized he was so hungry that even the pigs' food seemed appetizing. It was then that he came to his senses. In our darkest moments, when we realize the consequences of our choices, God's grace still calls us back. The son was lost, but now he saw the need to return home. Where do you turn when you are lost? The son decided to return home, rehearsing his apology, but while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and ran to him. The father embraced him, filled with compassion, before the son could even finish his confession. "Father," the son began, "I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father called for his servants, saying, "Bring the best robe, put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. We must celebrate, for my son was lost and now is found." This is the beauty of God's grace. Even when we are far away, God runs to meet us. Have you ever felt the warmth of being welcomed back, forgiven, and embraced by God? Meanwhile, the older brother was out in the fields. When he returned and saw the celebration, he was furious. He told his father, "I've worked for you all these years, yet you've never thrown me a party. But when this son of yours comes back, after wasting your money, you celebrate." The father replied gently, "My son, everything I have is yours, but we had to celebrate. Your brother was lost and now is found." Sometimes we struggle to understand God's grace for others, especially when we believe we deserve more. But His love is infinite. Do we celebrate when others return to God, or do we let jealousy cloud our joy? The story of the prodigal son reminds us that no matter how far we stray, God is always ready to welcome us home. His grace is boundless, and His love knows no limits. Today, take a moment to reflect on where you are in your own journey. Are you the lost son, the angry brother, or perhaps someone needing to offer forgiveness? Know this: God's love for you is always there, waiting. As we come to the end of this story, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on your own life. How does the story of the prodigal son resonate with you? Have you ever felt distant from God, or perhaps struggled to understand His grace for others? Know that His love is always there, waiting for you to return no matter where you've been or what you've done. If this story touched your heart, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. How have you experienced God's grace in your life? Whether through forgiveness, love, or a second chance, your story can encourage others who might be on a similar journey. Let's continue to support one another as we walk in faith and celebrate the power of God's unconditional love.